Hello there, and welcome to the Drift Science channel. Thank you for being here tonight. Wherever you are, wherever your day has taken you, and wherever you hope your mind will wander as we settle into this space together. Tonight, we're going to talk about something vast, something ancient, something that has been waiting for you to think about it in exactly this quiet way for a very long time. We're going to drift together through the universe. Not the universe of textbooks or rockets or complicated numbers, but the universe as a feeling, a slow unfolding mystery, a place where silence stretches farther than any sound could ever travel, and where light, gentle, ancient light, moves through emptiness like a whisper that never ends. Out there, beyond our atmosphere, beyond the silver trails of satellites and the faint glow of distant planets, there is so much more than emptiness. There are places where time itself seems to slow down, where gravity bends not just space, but the very possibility of loneliness. There are stars being born inside clouds, so soft and dark that you might almost imagine them as the universe's quietest thoughts. And there are other places, strange, wonderful places, where nothing at all happens for billions of years, and yet, somehow, those places are not empty. They are waiting, patiently, silently, almost as if they know that one day something might drift by. Tonight, we'll wander through some of these places, slowly, gently, with no need to remember anything and no need to understand everything. Because sometimes the most beautiful thing about the universe is that it doesn't require us to grasp it all at once. It simply asks us to look, to wonder, and to let go. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, these quiet drifts through science and stillness, you might consider resting your thumb here for a moment, just softly pressing like, and letting the channel know that you'd like to return again. Another night, when sleep feels far away, and the mind needs somewhere calm to go, but there's no rush, no need to move at all, really. Instead, let's just begin by settling in, wherever you are right now, whether you're lying down, or sitting in a cozy chair, or perhaps even still moving through the last moments of your evening. Just notice your shoulders for a moment. Let them soften. Let them drop just a little. And your breath, there's nothing you need to do with it, except let it be slow and easy and full of space. The day is fading now, like a color in water, like a sound that's finished echoing, and all that's left is this moment and this gentle journey. So close your eyes if you'd like, or let them rest softly on something still, because for the next little while, we're going to drift, not through facts, but through feelings, not through lessons, but through layers of quiet wonder. And the only thing you need to do is breathe and listen, and let the universe slowly, gently unfold inside you. But for now, all you need to do is relax, and let's begin. Have you ever thought about nothing? Not the nothing of an empty room, or the nothing of silence between words, but the real nothing, the deep nothing, the kind of nothing that exists between the stars. Out there, in the spaces that connect one distant sun to another, there are regions so vast, so unimaginably large, that you could fit our entire solar system inside them thousands of times over. And still, There's room for everything you've ever known, everything you've ever loved, everything that has ever happened in all of human history. And it would still feel empty. Not cold empty, not lonely empty, just still. These are the interstellar voids, the quiet neighborhoods of the galaxy, where the universe breathes out slowly and rests. In these spaces, there are only a few atoms, scattered like dust motes in a cathedral so enormous that light itself takes years to cross from one wall to the next. And those atoms, hydrogen mostly, the simplest and oldest element in existence, drift alone for centuries, for millennia, without ever touching another atom. You might imagine them as travelers, each one following its own slow path, curving around the gravity of stars it cannot see, moving through darkness so complete that even the imagination struggles to find an edge. And yet, there is something peaceful about this, because in these great empty stretches, nothing rushes. There are no explosions, no collisions, no sudden bursts of energy or sound, just drifting. Just the slow, endless ballet of atoms, moving in quiet orbits around the galaxy's gentle heart. Sometimes, over millions of years, two of these atoms will come close enough to feel each other's presence. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to bend, just slightly, toward one another. And in that bending, in that almost meeting, something strange happens. They slow down, even more than before, almost as if the universe, in its quiet wisdom, knows that some things, even invisible things, are worth waiting for. These great empty spaces, these interstellar voids, are not failures of creation. They are not mistakes or forgotten corners. They are the breath between notes in a song that has been playing for over 13 billion years. They are the silence between heartbeats of the cosmos. And without them, the stars would have nowhere to shine. Without them, the light from distant suns would stumble over itself, tangled in a crowd of matter and noise, never reaching across the darkness to touch our eyes. So the emptiness, the quiet, the vast and patient nothing between the stars, is actually a kind of gift. It allows distance, and distance, as we are learning tonight, allows wonder. You might imagine yourself drifting through one of these regions right now, floating without weight, without effort, without any need to move at all. The nearest star is so far away that its light, traveling at 300,000 kilometers every second, still takes years to reach you. And that light, when it finally arrives, is not harsh or glaring. It is soft, diffused, scattered by the thin veil of atoms that hangs between you and its source. It glows like a memory. It warms like a thought. And all around you, for as far as any mind could ever travel, there is nothing pressing, nothing demanding, nothing that needs to be solved or understood or remembered. Just the quiet, just the drift, just the slow and gentle fact that you are here and the universe is here. And for this small, sacred moment, neither of you needs to be anywhere else. So breathe softly into that thought and let yourself float there just a little longer, because out in the quiet between the stars, there's no such thing as wasted time, only space and stillness and the soft unfolding of forever. Now, as we leave that vast, peaceful emptiness behind, not leaving it really, just shifting our gaze, we might notice something happening in the distance. A faint glow, soft at first, like the first hint of dawn behind a mountain range. And as we drift closer, the glow deepens, becoming warm, becoming amber and rose, and the gentlest shades of gold. This is a stellar nursery, a place where stars, slow and patient as seeds beneath winter soil, begin to wake. Out here in the spiral arms of a galaxy, much like our own, there are clouds so enormous that they could swallow 1 million solar systems and still have room for more. But these are not ordinary clouds. They are not made of water or ice or anything you've ever touched. They are made of gas, mostly hydrogen, and dust, the finest, softest dust you could possibly imagine. Grains so small that 1,000 of them would fit on the edge of a single thought. And inside these clouds, for millions of years, almost nothing happens. The gas drifts, the dust settles. The temperature hovers just above the absolute cold of deep space. It is a place of waiting, but waiting in the universe is rarely empty. Deep inside these clouds, where light cannot reach, where the darkness is so complete that even the imagination struggles to find a shape, gravity begins to whisper. Not loudly, never loudly. Gravity in the universe is the softest of forces. It does not push, it does not shout, it simply leans. And over time, over unimaginable stretches of time, that gentle leaning begins to pull atoms together. Not all at once, not in a rush. Just a few atoms here, a few there. Drawn by the quietest of attractions, they gather. They cluster. They huddle together against the great cold emptiness outside. And as they gather, something changes. The center of this small, growing cluster, this protostar, begins to feel pressure. Not the pressure of a fist or a wave, but the pressure of many tiny things trying to occupy the same small space. And pressure, in the language of the universe, means heat. Not heat like fire, not heat like summer, but heat like a held breath, like the warmth that spreads through your hands when you cup them together on a cold night. This heat, this gathering warmth, begins to glow, faintly at first, so faintly that you might mistake it for a trick of the light, if there were any light to trick. But over more thousands of years, the glow grows, and eventually, after millions of years of slow gathering, after eons of gentle leaning and quiet pressure, something extraordinary happens. At the very center of this cluster, where the heat and pressure have become just strong enough, a single pair of hydrogen atoms, the simplest atoms in existence, touch. Not just touch, fuse. They become one. Helium, a new element, born from the quiet embrace of gravity and time. And in that moment, a star is born. Not with a bang, not with a flash of violence or drama, but with a soft, steady light. A light that will burn for billions of years. A light that will eventually travel across galaxies. Across the infinite dark, to reach the eyes of someone, somewhere, who will look up one night and feel, without knowing why, a strange and gentle peace. That is how stars are born, not in chaos, but in patience, not in fury, but in the slow, persistent pull of gravity, the most gentle force in all of creation. And tonight, as you lie here, breathing slowly, letting the weight of the day dissolve like starlight into morning. You might imagine that you too, in some small way, are like one of those stars, gathering, warming, coming together from the scattered pieces of your day, your thoughts, your small worries and quiet joys, all of them drifting, all of them leaning toward a single, soft center, the center of you, the place where you are simply present, breathing, glowing, waiting for nothing but the next gentle drift. So let the star inside you settle. Let its warmth spread through your chest, your shoulders, your hands, your feet. And know that you don't have to shine brightly tonight. You only have to be. Slowly, softly, completely. We've spoken of the emptiness between stars and of the slow, warm birth of starlight itself. But now, let's follow that light. Because light in the universe is not like anything you've ever seen on Earth. Here, in our small world, light moves almost instantly. You flip a switch, and the room fills with brightness before you've finished thinking about it. You open your eyes in the morning, and the sun seems to be waiting for you, patient and ready. But out there, in the great distances between the stars, light moves differently. It moves slowly, not in its speed, but in its experience of time. You see, light travels at 300,000 kilometers every second. That's fast enough to circle our entire planet more than 7 times in a single heartbeat. But the universe is so unimaginably vast that even at this incredible speed, light takes years, centuries, even millennia to cross from one place to another. The light from our own sun, that warm, golden light that touches your face on a spring morning, left the sun over 8 minutes ago. By the time it reaches your eyes, it is already 8 minutes old. Ancient in the language of a single breath, and the light from the nearest star beyond our sun, a faint, steady point of light you might see on a clear night, hanging in the constellation of Centaurus. That light has been traveling for over 4 years. 4 years of drifting silently across the black. 4 years of crossing emptiness so profound that it would make our deepest oceans feel crowded. By the time that light reaches your eyes, the star that sent it may have changed. It may have brightened or dimmed. It may have even, though this is very rare, ended its life entirely. And yet, the light continues. It doesn't stop. It doesn't grow tired or forget its purpose. It simply drifts. There is something deeply peaceful about this, isn't there? The idea that light, even after its source is gone, even after the star that created it has faded into memory, continues to travel, continues to bring warmth and wonder to places it will never see. You might imagine a single photon, a single particle of light born deep inside a star billions of years ago. It spends thousands of years just climbing from the star's core to its surface, moving slowly through dense layers of gas and plasma, bumping and gas scattering and being absorbed and re-emitted, until finally, one day, it breaks free into the vacuum of space. And then it begins its long journey. It crosses the emptiness between stars. It passes through clouds of dust so thin that it barely notices them. It travels for centuries, for millennia, for eons, without ever touching another particle. And then, after all that time, after all that unimaginable distance, it arrives. It arrives at a small blue planet. orbiting an unremarkable star in the outskirts of an ordinary galaxy. It passes through the thin veil of atmosphere, scattering slightly as it goes, turning the sky a gentle shade of blue. And finally, after a journey longer than the entire history of human civilization, it lands softly on the surface of a leaf, or the eye of a sleeping child, or the calm water of an evening lake. And in that moment, the light is gone, not destroyed, not ended, but transformed into warmth, into life, into the quiet, unspoken joy of simply being here to receive it. That is the journey of starlight, and you, tonight, are a part of it, because every time you close your eyes and feel the warmth of the sun on your face, or every time you look up at the stars and feel a strange, wordless peace, you are completing a journey that began billions of years ago. You are the destination. You are the quiet shore where ancient light finally rests. So let yourself rest too. Let your breath slow, even more than before. Let your thoughts drift like scattered photons across the soft darkness behind your eyes. And know that you don't have to understand any of this. You don't have to remember the numbers, or the names, or the scientific terms. All you have to do is feel it, the gentle, endless motion of light, the quiet faithfulness of photons traveling across the universe, just to reach you. Breathe in, slowly, and let that light settle inside you. Breathe out, gently, and let everything else fall away. Have you ever watched a leaf fall from a tree? Not the fast, dramatic fall of a leaf caught in wind, but the slow, meandering fall of a leaf on a still autumn day. It doesn't rush, it doesn't struggle, it simply releases and lets gravity guide it gently back to the earth. Now imagine that same feeling, but magnified across the entire universe. That is what orbits are. Not machines, not clocks, not rigid paths drawn in stone, but the soft, continuous falling of one thing around another, a slow dance, a gentle leaning, an endless, patient surrender to gravity. Everything in the universe orbits something. The moon orbits the Earth, not because it is tied there by ropes or chains, but because the Earth's gravity leans toward it, and the moon leans back, and together they have found a kind of balance, a way of falling that never ends. The Earth orbits the Sun, a grand, slow circle that takes 365 days to complete, a journey nearly a billion kilometers, traveled at 67,000 miles per hour. And yet, from where you lie tonight, it feels like stillness. The sun itself orbits the center of our galaxy, a massive, invisible point called Sagittarius A, a place where gravity becomes so strong that not even light can escape. And our sun, with all its planets and moons and comets and asteroids, takes more than 200 million years to complete just one orbit around that distant center. 200 million years. That is so long that the last time our sun was in this part of its orbit, there were no humans on Earth, no cities, no songs, no dreams like the ones drifting through your mind tonight. There were only dinosaurs wandering slowly across ancient continents under a sky that looked almost exactly the same as the one outside your window right now. And yet, despite the unimaginable scale of these journeys, there is nothing rushed about them, nothing frantic, nothing forced. The moon does not wake up one morning and decide to orbit faster. The Earth does not grow impatient with its path and try to take a shortcut. The sun does not worry about whether it will ever reach the center of the galaxy. They simply orbit. They fall gently, continuously, trustingly through the soft embrace of gravity. And in that falling, there is peace. You might imagine yourself, right now, as something orbiting, not in the physical sense, though, of course, you are. Even as you lie here, you are spinning with the Earth at hundreds of miles per hour and racing around the sun at thousands and circling the galaxy at hundreds of thousands. But in a deeper sense, you are orbiting the quiet center of yourself. Each breath is a small orbit, a gentle circle of air moving in and out, in and out. Each thought is a tiny moon, drifting across the sky of your awareness, appearing for a moment, then vanishing behind the horizon of sleep. And each worry, each memory, each small noise or lingering tension from the day is slowly being drawn into a larger, softer orbit. The orbit of rest, the orbit of letting go, because gravity in the universe is not a force of harshness, it is a force of return. It is what brings you back to yourself when you have been scattered. It is what gathers your breath into rhythm, your thoughts into stillness, your body into the soft, sinking feeling of sleep beginning to wrap around you, like a blanket of ancient, patient darkness. So let yourself fall, not violently, not suddenly, but like that autumn leaf, released, drifting, curving slowly through the quiet air toward the soft earth below. Let gravity hold you. Let it pull you, not down into heaviness, but inward, into the center of this moment, where nothing needs to be solved, nothing needs to be remembered, and everything is exactly as it should be. Breathe in and fall a little deeper. Breathe out and let the orbit complete itself. You don't have to stay awake. You don't have to follow the story anymore. The story will be here tomorrow, and the next night, and the night after that. Right now, the only thing you need to do is rest, and let the gentle pull of sleep carry you home. Thank you for staying in this slow drift with me. Your breath is soft, your body is settling, and the universe outside is doing exactly what it has always done. Turning, 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 slowly and without effort. Let's continue. So far, we have drifted through emptiness, through the birth of stars, through the long journey of ancient light, and through the gentle pull of orbits. But now, let's speak of something quieter still. Let's speak of endings. Because in the universe, nothing lasts forever, not even the stars. And yet, the endings we find out there, in the deep fields of the cosmos, are not loud or terrible. They are not the endings we see in movies, or imagine in our most anxious thoughts. They are soft, slow, almost peaceful. A star like our sun, a modest yellow star, will live for about 10 billion years. That is so long that the human mind cannot truly hold it. 10 billion years is longer than the Earth has existed, longer than the continents have drifted, longer than the first, faint stirrings of life in the ancient oceans. But eventually, even such a long life comes to a close, not with an explosion, not with violence, but with a slow, gentle expansion. As the star grows old, as it uses up the hydrogen in its core, it begins to change. Its outer layers swell outward, cooling as they go, turning from yellow to orange, from orange to red. This is called a red giant. And in this stage, the star becomes enormous, so enormous that it would swallow the inner planets of its solar system, including, if our own sun were to reach this stage, the Earth itself. But even then, there is no violence. The star simply puffs, like a great, tired breath, spreading outward into the cold darkness. And then, over many thousands of years, that outer layer drifts away entirely, leaving behind only the star's core, a small, hot, dense ball of carbon and oxygen, no larger than the Earth, but so heavy that a single teaspoon of it would weigh as much as a mountain. This is a white dwarf, and a white dwarf does not shine like a star. It glows faintly, softly, with the leftover heat of its long life. It is the ember of a fire that once blazed across the heavens, and it will continue to glow, not with new energy, but with memory, for billions of years more. Slowly, over those billions of years, the white dwarf cools. Its glow fades from white to yellow, from yellow to orange, from orange to deep, faint red. And finally, after longer than the age of the universe, so far, it becomes something else entirely. A black dwarf, a cold, dark sphere drifting through the galaxy, invisible to every eye, silent as a held breath. This is the end of a star like our sun, not an end of destruction, but an end of rest. The star has given everything it had. It has warmed distant worlds. It has lit the darkness for billions of years. It has sent its light across the universe, touching eyes that will never know its name. And now it rests. It drifts. It becomes part of the quiet between the stars. The same quiet we visited at the beginning of our journey. There is something deeply comforting in this, isn't there? The idea that even the most powerful things in the universe, even the great burning suns that hold entire solar systems in their gentle grip, eventually slow down, cool off, and find stillness. They do not fight the ending. They do not rage against the dying of the light. They simply let go. And in that letting go, they become part of something larger. Their atoms, the carbon and oxygen and trace metals forged in their cores, drift back into the galaxy, seeding the clouds of gas and dust where new stars will someday form. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. Everything simply transforms. You might feel this in your own body tonight. The heaviness in your limbs, the softness behind your eyes, the slow, deepening rhythm of your breath. These are not signs that you are breaking down. They are signs that you are letting go, that you are cooling like a white dwarf into a state of deep, peaceful rest, that you are trusting the universe, as the stars do, to hold you in the quiet spaces, to carry your atoms forward, to remember your light, even when you are no longer shining. So let yourself fade, just a little. Let the edges of your awareness soften. Let the thoughts that have been circling all day, the small worries and unfinished lists and half-remembered conversations, let them drift outward, like a star's outer layers, into the gentle darkness. And beneath them, let your core remain, warm, still, glowing faintly, with nothing but the soft fact that you are here, and you are resting, and you are safe. That is the silence of dead stars. And it is not an end. It is a doorway into deeper sleep. Have you ever tried to imagine nothing? Not the nothing of an empty room, but the kind of nothing that existed before the first star ignited, before the first atom formed, before time itself began to flow. It is nearly impossible for the human mind to hold such an idea, because every time we try to imagine nothing, we accidentally fill it with something. Darkness, silence, cold, emptiness. But even those are things, in their own way. The true nothing, the deep, original stillness, may have had no darkness, because there was no light to define it, no silence, because there was no sound to contrast with it, no cold, because there was no warmth to measure against. It was simply not, and yet, from that unimaginable nothing, everything came, not with a bang, not in the way we usually imagine, but with a slow, quiet unfolding, like a flower opening in time-lapse photography, so gradual that no single moment could be called the beginning. This is the story of space itself, not the space between stars, but the fabric that holds them, because space, in the deepest sense, is not empty. It is a thing, a real physical thing, as real as the bed you are lying on, as real as the air moving softly through your breath. We call it space-time, because space and times in the universe are woven together, inseparable, like the threads of a single, enormous blanket. And this fabric, this invisible architecture, can bend, it can stretch, it can ripple, and it is bending right now, all around you. The earth bends the space around it, just slightly, like a heavy ball resting on a stretched sheet of rubber. That bending is what we feel as gravity, not a force pulling us down, but a curvature in the geometry of the universe, guiding us gently toward the center of the earth. The sun bends space even more. Its mass creates a deep, smooth well in the fabric of space-time, and the planets, including our small blue world, are simply rolling around the walls of that well, following the curve, falling forever without ever reaching the bottom. And black holes, those strange, wonderful objects we've all heard about, bend space so deeply that they create a hole in the fabric itself, a place where the normal rules no longer apply, where time slows to a crawl, and where light, which never stops moving, can no longer find a path out. But even black holes, despite their fearsome reputation, are not violent. They are patient. They are quiet. They are the deepest, softest wells in the universe. Places where gravity has finally become so strong that nothing, not even a whisper, can escape. And yet, scientists now believe that even black holes, over unimaginably long periods of time, slowly, gently evaporate. They leak, particle by particle. Over trillions of years, they return their mass back to the universe, back to the emptiness, back to the fabric they once bent so deeply. Nothing is permanent, everything flows, and the universe, in its infinite patience, holds all of it. The bending, the stretching, the rippling, the returning. You are feeling this architecture right now, though you may not know it. The soft surface beneath you, the gentle curve of your spine, the slow rise and fall of your chest. All of it is held in the gentle embrace of space-time, bent by the earth, guided by gravity, cradled by the invisible architecture that has been here, unchanged in its nature, since the very first moment of the universe. And somewhere, far across the galaxy, a distant star is bending the same fabric. And somewhere else, in a place no human eye has ever seen, a ripple of space-time created by two black holes, spiraling together billions of years ago, is still traveling, still moving, still passing through the emptiness, too gentle to feel, too subtle to measure, but there, always there, like a breath you cannot hear, like a thought you cannot name. So let the fabric hold you. Let the invisible architecture of the universe support you completely, without effort, without struggle. You do not need to hold yourself up tonight. You do not need to keep your thoughts in order or your body in tension. You can simply rest into the curve of space-time, into the gentle bend of gravity, into the soft, invisible arms that have been waiting for you since the beginning of everything. Breathe in and feel yourself held. Breathe out and let everything else dissolve. Stay in this quiet orbit with me. Your breath is slowing. Your thoughts are softening. And the universe is holding you in its invisible, gentle hands. There is an old idea, a very old idea, that the universe is not silent, not truly silent. The ancient philosophers called it the music of the spheres, a quiet, perfect harmony created by the movement of the planets and stars, a sound too beautiful for human ears to hear, but present nonetheless, always present, like a lullaby sung by gravity itself. We know now, through the patient work of science, that this old idea was not so far from the truth, because the universe, it turns out, is full of sound, not the sound you hear with your ears, not the vibration of air molecules against your eardrum, but a deeper kind of sound, a trembling in the fabric of space itself, a low, endless hum that has been playing since the very first moments of creation. These are called gravitational waves, and they are made whenever something massive moves. Not violently, but with a certain kind of urgency. When two black holes spiral around each other, closer and closer, slower and slower at first. Then, faster as they near the end, they send ripples through space-time. Ripples that travel outward at the speed of light, crossing galaxies, passing through stars and planets and people as if they were nothing more than ghosts. By the time these ripples reach us, they are incredibly faint, fainter than the faintest whisper, fainter than the movement of a single hair in a still room. And yet, scientists have learned to hear them with instruments so sensitive that they can measure a distance 1,000 times smaller than the width of a single proton. We have learned to listen to the music of the universe. And what we have heard is astonishing, not loud, not dramatic, not the crash of cymbals or the roar of a symphony, but a low, soft chirp, a rising tone, like a bell being struck far, far away under water, behind a mountain, at the other end of forever. That chirp, that gentle, rising note, is the sound of two black holes merging. It is the sound of space-time ringing like a drum. It is the music of the spheres, made real, and it is beautiful. Not beautiful in the way a song is beautiful, but beautiful in the way a deep breath is beautiful, or the moment just before sleep, when the world grows soft and distant, and you feel, for the first time all day, completely at peace. there are other sounds too. The slow, steady hum of our own sun, vibrating like a giant bell, ringing with thousands of different notes at once, each one telling us something about the layers of gas beneath its golden surface. The faint, chaotic rumble of Jupiter's magnetic field, a sound like waves crashing on a shore made of plasma and light, the low, almost subsonic thrum of the Earth itself, a sound you have been hearing your entire life without ever knowing it, the background hum of our planet, moving through the solar system, through the galaxy, through the great dark ocean of the cosmos. None of these sounds are loud enough to wake you. None of them are harsh or startling. They are the opposite of alarm. They are the lullabies of a universe that has been singing quietly, patiently, for over 13 billion years. And tonight, as you lie here, with your eyes closed and your breath slow, you are part of that song. Every atom in your body vibrates at its own frequency. Every cell hums with the quiet electricity of life. Every thought, every feeling, every small, fleeting moment of awareness creates a ripple, a tiny wave, a note in the great, endless composition of existence. You are not separate from the music. You are the music. So let yourself listen, not with your ears, but with your bones, with your breath, with the soft, dark space behind your eyes. Listen to the low hum of the earth turning. Listen to the faint chirp of distant black holes, singing their ancient song of gravity and light. Listen to your own heartbeat, slowing now, matching the rhythm of the universe, the rhythm of forever. And if you cannot hear anything, that is fine too, because silence in the universe is not emptiness. It is simply the music played so softly that only your deepest self, the self that exists below thought, below worry, below the noise of the day, can feel it. Breathe in and feel the vibration. Breathe out and let it carry you gently towards sleep. We have spent this journey in quiet places, between stars, around stars, inside the fabric of space itself. But now, let us pull back, let us zoom out, farther than you have ever imagined, farther than the mind can easily follow. Let us look at the universe, not as a collection of stars, but as a collection of islands. Each island a galaxy, and our own island, the Milky Way, is home to more than 200 billion stars, including our sun, including the small, warm light that wakes you each morning. 200 billion. That number is so large that it loses meaning. You could spend an entire lifetime counting stars, one every second, and you would not even reach a single % of the stars in our galaxy alone. And yet, the Milky Way, enormous as it is not special. It is one of perhaps 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion. Each one containing billions or trillions of stars. Each one a slow, silent island, drifting through the endless dark, connected to its neighbours by nothing but gravity and light and time. And these galaxies, they do not sit still. They move, they dance, they circle one another in orbits so vast that a single revolution takes billions of years. Our own Milky Way, along with the Andromeda Galaxy and about 50 smaller galaxies, belongs to a structure called the Local Group. And within this group, the Milky Way and Andromeda are slowly, gently falling toward each other, not quickly, not dangerously. In fact, the collision, if you can call something this slow a collision, will not happen for another 4.5 billion years. That is longer than the Earth has existed, longer than life has been breathing on its surface. And when it happens, it will not be violent. It will be the slowest, most graceful merger imaginable. Two great spiral galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars, will pass through each other, not like two cars crashing, but like two clouds of smoke drifting together, swirling, mixing, becoming one. The stars themselves will almost never collide. The distances between them are too vast, the emptiness too deep. Instead, galaxies will simply interlace. Their spiral arms will unravel and reform. Their gravitational fields will tug and pull, creating new shapes, new patterns, new possibilities for stars and planets and perhaps life. And after billions of years, the two galaxies will become one, a single, larger galaxy, perhaps elliptical in shape, glowing softly with the combined light of 1 trillion suns. This is the fate of our home, not destruction, but transformation, not an ending, but a merging, a dance, a slow and graceful becoming. There is something deeply peaceful in this, isn't there? The idea that even the largest structures in the universe, the great majestic dozens of stars, do not hold themselves apart. They do not cling to their boundaries or defend their borders. They allow themselves, over time, to be drawn together, to change, to become something new. They trust the dance. They trust gravity. They trust the slow, patient unfolding of time, and so can you. Because you are not separate from this dance. The atoms in your body were forged inside stars that lived and died before the Earth was born. Those atoms were scattered across the galaxy, drifted through clouds of gas and dust, gathered again into new stars and new planets. And eventually, after billions of years of slow cosmic choreography, they came together, here in this moment, in you. You are the galaxy, remembering itself. You are the dance, taking a single quiet breath. And tonight, as you lie here, letting sleep pull you softly toward the center of yourself, you are still dancing. Your breath rises and falls like the spiral arms of a distant galaxy. Your heart beats with the slow rhythm of cosmic time. Your thoughts drift like stars through the vast, dark sky of your mind, never colliding, never crowding, simply moving, each one following its own gentle orbit. So let the dance continue. You do not need to lead. You do not need to follow. You only need to be carried by the same gravity that carries the galaxies, by the same time that turns the universe, by the same love that holds all things together, gently, invisibly, perfectly. Breathe in and feel the galaxy turn inside you. Breathe out and let yourself turn with it, slowly, softly, toward the deep, quiet center of sleep. There is a kind of stillness that exists only in the coldest places of the universe. Not the cold of a winter morning, not the cold of a freezer or a deep lake, but for the cold of space, where temperature falls to within a few degrees of absolute zero, where atoms themselves slow down almost to a stop, where movement becomes so faint that it can barely be called movement at all. These are the molecular clouds. We visited them earlier when we spoke of the birth of stars, but now let us return, not to witness creation, but to rest in the quiet that comes before. A molecular cloud is a place of waiting. It is made mostly of hydrogen, the simplest element, and dust, the ashes of long dead stars. And within these clouds, for millions of years, almost nothing happens. The temperature is just a few degrees above absolute zero. Colder than anything you have ever felt, colder than any place on Earth has ever been. And in this cold, time behaves differently, not physically, but in the way it feels. When everything is still, when nothing moves, when the only change is the slow, almost imperceptible drift of atoms across distances wider than 1,000 solar systems. Time seems to stretch. It becomes deep. It becomes patient. It becomes something you can sink into. Like a softer bed of snow. Like the quiet that falls after a long day. Like the moment between waking and sleeping, when the world is soft and far away. In these clouds, there are regions so dark that no light has ever touched them, not because light cannot reach, but because there has been no light to send. These are the cold hearts of the nurseries, where stars have not yet been born, where the dust is so thick that even the faintest glow is swallowed before it can travel a single mile. And in these places, there is only dust, tiny grains, smaller than the wavelength of light, each one a frozen remnant of a star that died billions of years ago, each one carrying within it the memory of fusion, of heat, of light. But now, they are cold, they are still, they are resting, and they will rest for a very long time, because the birth of a star, as we have seen, is not quick. It takes millions of years for gravity to gather enough atoms, to build enough pressure, to ignite the flame of fusion, and until that moment, the cloud waits. It drifts. It spins slowly, almost imperceptibly, around the center of the galaxy. It cools a little more, then warms a little, then cools again, as if breathing, as if thinking, as if dreaming of the light it will one day become. You might imagine yourself, tonight, as a grain of dust in such a cloud, not because you are small or insignificant, but because you are resting, because you are drifting, because you are floating in the deep, quiet cold of a moment that asks nothing of you except to be still. There is no rush. There is no race. There is no need to become a star tonight. Tonight, you are the dust. You are the quiet. You are the patient, frozen breath of the universe. Waiting, resting, sinking deeper into the soft embrace of sleep. And the cold, though it sounds uncomfortable, is not the cold of discomfort. It is the cold of preservation. The cold of stillness. The cold that allows things to last, to endure, to remain unchanged, until the time is right for transformation. Your thoughts, your worries, your small, circling concerns, they too can rest in this cold. They can slow down. They can freeze, just slightly, becoming less urgent, less sharp, less demanding. They can drift, like dust grains, through the dark sky of your mind, without colliding, without merging, without becoming anything more than what they are, soft, small, temporary, and beneath them, beneath the cold, beneath the dust, there is warmth. There is the core of you, the part that does not freeze, the part that does not drift, the part that remains, always steady and glowing, like the heart of a cloud that has not yet decided to become a star. That core is safe. That core is warm. That core is you, breathing slowly, softly, deeply. So let the cold hold your thoughts. Let the dust carry your worries. Let the deep, patient time of the universe, the time of ice and waiting, wrap itself around you like a blanket of ancient, gentle darkness, and rest, not as a star, not as a planet, not as anything that needs to shine, or move or become, but as dust, as stillness, as the quiet, before everything. Breathe in and feel the cold as comfort. Breathe out and let the waiting begin. We have travelled far tonight, through the emptiness between stars, through the warm, slow birth of light, through the long, faithful journey of photons across billions of years. We have drifted through orbits, through the silence of dead stars, through the invisible architecture of space-time. We have listened to the music of spheres, watched galaxies dance, rested in the deep, cold patience of molecular clouds. But now, it is time to return, not with a jolt, not with a sudden awakening, but slowly, gently, like a feather, drifting back to the ground, like a wave returning to the ocean, like a single note fading into silence at the end of a lullaby. Because the universe, for all its vastness, for all its strangeness and wonder, is not a place you have to leave. It is not a destination you visit and then abandon. It is where you live. It is where you have always lived. The same gravity that holds the moons in its quiet orbit holds you to the Earth. The same atoms that were forged in ancient stars move through your blood, your breath, your dreams. The same light that left the sun 8 minutes ago is warming your skins. Even now, even through the darkness of your closed eyelids, you are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos. Curled up for a moment, in a small, warm room, on a small blue planet, drifting around a modest star in the outskirts of an ordinary galaxy. And that is enough. More than enough. There is nothing you need to achieve tonight. No problem you need to solve. No memory you need to untangle. No tomorrow you need to prepare for. The universe has been expanding for 13.8 billion years, and it will continue to expand slowly, slowfully, gracefully, whether you watch it or not. The stars will continue to be born, to live, to die, to scatter their dust across the galaxy. The light will continue to travel, patient and faithful, across the great, dark ocean of space, and you will continue to breathe, in and out, in and out, each breath a small orbit, a tiny galaxy turning inside your chest. So now, let us bring this journey to its soft close, not by ending, but by settling, not by waking, but by sinking, one last time, into the gentle arms of sleep. Let your shoulders soften completely now. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands, your fingers, your toes release any remaining tension, any small grip they have been holding on the day. Let your breath become shallow and slow and easy. There is no need to breathe deeply anymore, only need to breathe naturally as sleep breathes through you. And let your mind, your beautiful, active, wandering mind, let it become like a still lake, at night, reflecting the stars, but not chasing them. Let thoughts pass across the surface of that lake, like clouds drifting across the moon, soft, silent, without weight. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to catch them. You only need to watch, if you watch at all. And if you stop watching, that is fine too. Because behind the thoughts, beneath the lake, there is only darkness. And that darkness, that deep, quiet, infinite darkness, is not empty. It is the same darkness that holds the galaxies. It is the same stillness that rests between the stars. It is the same peace that has been waiting for you since before you were born, since before the earth was formed, since before the first light began to shine. It is your home, the home you never left, and tonight you are returning to it, not with effort, not with struggle, but with the soft, inevitable ease of a raindrop falling into the sea. So let yourself fall. Let yourself sink. Let yourself be held. There is nothing more to understand, nothing more to remember, nothing more to do. The story is over. For now, the science has drifted into silence, and all that remains is you and your breath, and the soft, dark, infinite peace of the universe, cradling you, rocking you, singing you, toward the deepest sleep you have known in a very long time. Good night, dear listener. Good night, dear drifter. Good night from the Drift Science Channel. Sleep well and dream of stars.